rides back and forth the street, doesn't see it.
That's not true.
And when he moved my vehicle, he left the keys inside my car. My car cannot start without a push start. So he took out the garage opener, and the reason why is because they were doing maintenance work at his apartment complex at the time where the gate was left open overnight. That's how my car got stolen, because the lady who did take my car, she had access to easily get inside of it, and the keys were inside my vehicle to where she was able to steal it.
Think about my husband, who I'm fighting with all the time, fixing the sink and causing a flood in an apartment or a house that is mine. I can't sue him. But it sounds to me, from what you tell me, that you knew he had been playing around with license plates while you were still together. That's what you just told me. That's what he does.
No, that's not true.
Listen to me, sir. It may not be true, but that's what you just told me.
It's in text messages, so that's true.
That's what you just told me.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. You have no case against him. It's unfortunate that your car was stolen and it was found, I understand?
Yes,
but it was found...
Totaled.
Total, yeah.
Well, that's not his fault. Case is dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I told him not to drive it, not to move my car, because I know that's what he did. He did it anyways. My car got stolen.
I didn't leave the key in the car. Actually, I had put it in my bag and took it upstairs, but she just went with that because that's all she had on.
I just hope that I never have to see him again.
I just want peace and just to be left alone and get back to my regular life.
Can you imagine how the courts would be flooded with lawsuits if married people could sue each other for negligence?
Be more backed up than it is right now?
Oh, it would put a complete stop to the justice system.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't even think that in this case he was negligent. I mean, there was debate as to whether or not he left the keys in the car. That could be viewed as a little bit negligent.
But they were a married couple who cohabited together until a couple of days before the car was stolen. And the place where he lived, evidently, which was under construction, somebody left the gate open. Well, that's the person who she ought to sue for leaving the gate open, which allowed her car to be stolen.
Sure.
Not her husband.
Agreed.
Ridiculous.
Is suing her former friend, Douglas Soroki, for storage fees and a wrongful eviction.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2062, Bahar versus Soroki.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Bahar, how old are you?
38.
What do you do for a living?
I used to be a cosmetologist.
What do you do now?
I'm not doing anything right now.
Who are you living with?
I lived in hotels. I'm staying now with a friend for 3 weeks.
How do you support yourself?
I'm on income that comes every month. I'm on disability right now.
Is your disability of a physical nature or a psychological nature?
It's both.
And how much do you collect from disability?
Around $900.
A month?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been on disability?
About 10 years.
10 years? Yeah. And when were you a cosmetologist?
I started back when I was 16, during high school time. And I started doing hair, and I went to hair school, and then I ended up getting really sick, so I went back and forth to doing hair, and then I just couldn't do it anymore.
Well, when did you said you were a cosmetologist? When were you a cosmetologist?
During high school years, so it was like around 2000.
Oh, well, that's a long time ago. We're talking about ancient history.
Yes.
So what you're telling me is that since you were in your mid-20s, you have been on disability.
Yes.
And how old are you, sir?
69.
You're a single man.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me how you met the plaintiff.
About 4 years ago, she called me. I do auto brokering, where somebody wants a vehicle, and I go to the dealer and try to make the best deal for them, just like a real estate agent.
Tell me how she got your number.
So I advertise on Facebook. I advertise on LinkedIn. So I don't know exactly how she got my number.
How'd you get his number?
The truth is, I never got his number. What happened was, we talk about, I'm looking for a car, I'm selling, I want to sell my car. He messaged me, hey, I sell cars, I can help you.
That's
2-3 years.
true.
That's very true. I have all the messages through Facebook and everything. But he messaged me, I can help you. How are you? Good morning. I said, okay, you can help me. But
Okay, I got enough.
Yeah.
All right, so let me sort of outline this case the way I am now putting it all together. You came onto some hard times, harder than usually your life is because of your disability, and you were in your apartment, according to you, and the building had a fire. Because of the fire, you became homeless. You had already known the defendant. He did something for you with a car. And you were living alone, I assume, in this apartment. How many bedrooms in the apartment? It was a one-bedroom. And did you have a lease in that apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much were you paying in rent?
It was $790
Okay, so you were paying $790 for the apartment that burned down.
I'm sorry, $690. I apologize, $690.
And how long had you lived there?
It would have been 5 years exactly.
Okay, it would have been 5 years before the place burned
Yes,
down.
ma'am.
And
But, Your Honor,
what?
they were evicting her.
At the time of the fire?
Yes,
No.
yes. And then,
Just a sec, 1 sec. Don't shout out again. However, I find that interesting. She was living there for 5 years, and how do you know that she was being evicted?
she showed me the paperwork.
May I see it?
Yeah, it's my phone. Here's the letter that she had with the management.
Okay, good. Thank you. I just see your request for a hearing, and the hearing was for what?
It was dismissed. I had
No. The hearing's for what? Was it for an eviction?
No.
What was it for?
I had COVID, and I had Sarah Pay.
Are you not understanding me?
No, a hearing for what? I'm sorry.
I said, was the proceeding an eviction notice?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't an eviction notice.
They don't have proceedings for COVID. They have an eviction case. You may say, I don't have money because of COVID, and they give you time to pay. Were you served with an eviction
It was
notice?
a warning to go to court.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
For what? For speeding, for robbery, for assault, or for an eviction?
For non-payment.
For eviction. Listen. For eviction.
Okay.
What do you mean, okay?
Only because when I told the judge said it's not an eviction.
I don't care what you told the judge. You were
No, he
brought
told
to
me.
court for an eviction. Kevin,
Honor.
would you
My-
return this to
my
her, please?
landlord took $9,000
just
from
a second.
Sarah.
Just a second. Ms. Bahara, let me explain something to you.
ma'am.
I don't know whether you watch me in the past or whether you don't watch me in the past, but I want you to know that I know exactly who you are. I know exactly how you live. I know exactly how you support yourself. I know who you are. I know all of that. So let's not play with each other. You're a smart lady. You've managed to negotiate at age 38 a system for yourself. So when I ask you, did you go to court for an eviction? The answer is yes. You want to explain it to me if I ask you what happened? Well, I paid it, and that COVID, they couldn't throw me out because it was COVID. You're not allowed to evict somebody during COVID. You want to explain that to me if I'm interested? That's fine. But if I say to you, were you summoned to court for an eviction? The answer is
Yes. Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
Whether that had any impact on the fire in this building, I have no idea.
No, I don't. It did.
I have no idea.
And
The
when she
plaintiff
said-
says she was a heroine in this fire, according to her complaint, and she got a lot of people out of the building, and the things in her apartment were unscathed. Now, prior to that time, had you done anything other than help her secure a car?
No.
Did you help her secure a car?
No, I couldn't get it because her credit was terrible.
Just a second. Did she want a car?
Yes.
Okay,
Two
what
different
kind of a
times.
car did she want? That's the reason that you met.
The first time, something inexpensive like a GMC Terrain. The second time, she wanted a 2017 or 2018 Lincoln. I think it's MKX or MKZ.
What was she driving when she contacted you? Nothing.
Right.
Did she ever buy a car?
For me, no. But she did get one from a dealer. I don't know how they did it because
Uncross.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you currently own a car?
No, I don't own a car. Well, now I have a car, yes.
That's what I asked.
Yes.
Yes, do you understand? You have to let me introduce you to the truth. Mr. Truth, I'd like you to meet the plaintiff. Do you have a car?
Yes, ma'am.
No, you're only nervous now because you know I understand you. You now have a car. And where are you living now?
With my friend.
Where were you living prior to that?
Hotel rooms.
When did you purchase the car?
March 27.
What kind of car did you buy?
That was the Terrain.
What year?
2017.
How much was it?
With everything, I think it went to $24,000.
How much of a down payment did you put down?
$2,000.
And you financed the rest with whom?
They financed it with.
they had to go to a third-party lender.
I don't care. Do I look like I need your help? No, because I'm trying to find out how this lady, who has the sole income of $900 a month, lived in an apartment for $700 a month, managed to save up $2,000 to put down on a car, Car has insurance, car has gas, car has expense. You have to buy food, you need to take care of your hair. Looks like you buy nice clothes, look like you have some jewelry that's more than $900 a month, and you've been really on the doles for a decade. So I'm just trying to square all this with what I'm seeing. Do you understand where I'm going?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Now, so this is what you're complaining about. The defendant, after you called him, said, well, I have a spare room in my condo. You can come with me. And you say, well, I have all my stuff that I've accumulated in my apartment, and I have only one storage unit to put it in, and I'll have to pick through and discard stuff, blah, 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 because I can't afford a second storage unit. And according to you, the defendant said, I'll pay for the second storage unit. And at some point after you moved in with him and threw you out, he reversed the charges. And so you were charged for your storage unit for your stuff. That's part of your lawsuit, $600. Now, the main part of your complaint, for which you want almost $6,000, is for punitive damages because you claim that Mr. Soroki, while you were living with him, rent-free, food-free, everything free, made unwanted advances towards you. And I'm certain that what you did was put in this complaint the most egregious things that he did to you, because you would want me to know the most egregious things that he did to you, right? Okay.
Claims her former friend, Douglas Soroki, owes for storage fees and a wrongful eviction. Douglas is countersuing for property damage and false accusations.
So let me read to you what you say he did to you, the unwelcomed advances. He would walk around the house in his underwear.
Yes, ma'am.
Shut. I didn't ask you anything. These are the most egregious things. And he patted my behind when he walked past me.
Not true.
Now, just a second. Those were the first two things that you tell me that he did to you. Now, how many times do you say he touched you?
Between
on the
7
behind?
and 8 times.
7 to 8 times. Okay. When did you live with him?
I moved in March 5th of the fire.
And how long did you stay?
Till the 31st
Of what?
of March.
And what happened on the 31st of March?
I was trying to make phone calls to get a car behind his back because he took the privileges from using his car.
Just a second. So while you were living with him, he let you use his car when you needed it. And then he told you couldn't use his car anymore?
So he didn't tell me. What he did was on the 24th, he said, we're going to go to my son-in-law. I sold the car to some lady. Come with me. Let's drop it off, which is the Cadillac that I'm using because he has 2 cars. He ended up getting the electric Audi. He said, just use my car. Now, keep in mind, he's letting me use that car since March 3rd. March 4th, my house burns down at 1 a.m. So he goes and gives a car to some lady. We drop it off all the way.
Date?
March 24th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so that's March 24th.
So I have no more car at this point. So the Cadillac is gone now.
You didn't have a car when you were living someplace else. So moving in with him, you had a car.
Yes.
Which was very nice because you hadn't had a car previous to that. So now we dropped the car off and now you didn't have a car.
Yes.
That's March 24th.
Right.
Then what happened?
I was trying to still figure out, and we had talked
You
about
tried? You didn't finish to say you were trying to figure out what?
figure out how to get a car, like to see what I can
Okay,
do.
so you were trying to get a
Yeah.
car.
As for the money, the way it was saved, I had to go.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't tell me you had a GoFundMe page.
I did. I did. It was for the fire.
Just a second.
It was his idea too.
No.
I got it.
Got it? Oh, I'm dying to see that. Okay. Now, you were driving his car, right?
Yes.
Ever think about driving for Uber? Seems as if you're perfectly capable of doing that. You drove a car. Go pick somebody up, take them back. I don't know how that would be affected by your disability because clearly you were able to drive. I'm going to get past that. We're back to March 24th. Now you're making calls when he's not around to try to get a car because you no longer have a car. You leave on March 31st. You want to tell me what the circumstances were that caused you to leave on March 31st?
So March 26th, he said, can you please go to a friend's house? I'm bringing a girl over. I said, yes, no problem. It's his house.
Okay.
You can do that. I said, can you please drop me off? I have a friend that was supposed to be my witness today. She wasn't feeling good. Can you drop me off because it's only 15 minutes where he's from? He said, yes, no problem.
And when you slept in the defendant's condo, You had your own room?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So we got up and everything was fine. He was rushing me out. We were talking, and as he showed me a picture of who he's bringing, I told Doug, shut my room door because I have stuff in there. So he dropped me off. I went to my friend. It was actually my friend's birthday.
I don't care.
Okay. So in the morning at 10 a.m., I get a text message showing me a one dish plate on the sink. And he's like, you couldn't do a dish? I said, I cleaned the whole house. I said, anyway, I said, should they drop me off or do you want to come get me? I want to come back home. He's like, no, I'll come get you. I'll pick you up. He came, he got me. We sat in the car. I said, hi. He's like, I asked you to do one fit. I said, wait, the dish? I said, I cleaned the whole house and everything. We went back to the house.
Then what happened?
He knocks on the door and he says, pack up. I'm calling you Uber, leave. I said, I have nowhere to go. Where am I going to go? What do you mean leave? He's like, I just don't want you here anymore.
Now, this is on the 27th. He tells you to leave. You call the police.
No, he called the police. I told him to call the police.
No, she
Oh,
didn't tell me.
just a second, because you didn't want to leave. Because
Didn't have nowhere to go.
Because you didn't want to leave.
It's not that I didn't have nowhere to go. I had no car to leave anywhere.
Well, just a second. Are you living at a hotel after this?
I did.
After this. And how did you get to the hotel?
The guy that I purchased the car from brought it to his house, brought me that car
So
on the
you
31st.
just a second. So he asked you to leave and you managed to get a car and you went to a hotel, right? What happened between the 27th, because police were called, they came, and they evidently said you could stay
1 week.
1 week. They
What
tell you
happened
you could.
was there was two cops.
I don't need a whole story. Did they
He
let
said,
you
how long
stay?
would you like for you to have? I said, I need some time. I have nowhere to go. That's when.
Just
Yes, ma'am.
a week. But you left on the 31st. Did anything else happen between the 27th and the 31st?
No.
You packed up your things.
Yes.
And a car was delivered.
Yes.
And you left.
Yes.
There were no incidents.
No.
And so just so that I'm totally clear and understand, on the 27th, you were in a safe place in somebody's house. You have your own bank account because GoFundMe.
I have the page.
Oh, may I see it, please?
Sure. And the description
Okay.
is here. And that's how much it's.
Okay. My name is Marilyn, and I'm a fire survivor. The place where I lived caught fire. I left my apartment to go upstairs. I knew it was too late for one of my neighbors. I had to scream. I will make a long story short. It's taken a toll on me and everyone else. My main goal was to save everybody. We ended up losing everything because we had to leave the premises, and we were not allowed to go back for 24 hours to remove what was left in our apartment. As for me, I now have nowhere to go, and I need help to get into a place. I had to borrow a friend's transportation to get around, rent out a storage, and put everything there that I can. At this point in my life, it feels like a dream, and so far, you asked for $7,000, and so far you raised $1,772 from soft-hearted Americans. These people got to stay off the internet.
Has accused her former friend, Douglas Soroki, of sexual harassment while living with him. Douglas says Marilyn lied to the police and damaged his reputation.
Okay, so just so that I'm clear, you raised almost $1,800. You didn't have a car before.
I had a
No,
car.
you told me you didn't have a car before. Is that what you
During
said,
that
Whitney?
time, yes.
She didn't have a car
Yes.
before.
During that time.
Well, at that time is what I'm talking about. At the time of the fire, when you were living
Yes.
at this $690 a month apartment, you didn't have a car. You see, what I don't understand, madam, is that in the whole litany of your travails and troubles with the defendant, it sounded to me, a little bizarre. Taking in somebody he didn't know, dating somebody else, bringing somebody else to his house. But he's a 69-year-old man. He can do what he wants to do. He's not asking you for anything. You pay for your own storage. If you had to pay for your own storage, pay it out of the GoFundMe page. The thing that's most irritating to me is that you now, in order to get money from him, you sued him for sexual advances. And if they were so horrific to you, you've lived in motels before. You've lived in hotels before. You have friends. But it's sort of outrageous to try to convince me that you were so outraged by his conduct and still stayed, and when he tried to get you out, try to convince the police to let you stay because it was your home. That's what I don't
The
understand.
police said that she has.
Just a second. Do you understand what I just said?
everything you're saying is not how it happened. Everything's a lie because he gave me the car 2 days before the fire. He told me I have an extra room. I'm gonna help you come clean my house. I'll give you $300. Get back on. This is the truth. I'll get you back on your feet. I did lose my home. I did save people. Yes, I am.
You're not understanding what I'm saying.
I was over there for free. I paid for food. I helped him too. The car he'd give me, I go back and forth, help him bring in his papers to the car dealerships.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think he owes you for? You're going to pay your own storage unit. That's why you went on a GoFundMe page.
He said do the GoFundMe. He called one of his friends from California. He's the one that sent $500. Yes, I saved it. That money from the GoFundMe and from whatever I got from my friends, I saved it to get a car. I said, are you going to still help me put the down payment? He promised the down payment. He promised everything. Yeah. I have proof right here that he promised everything. I'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. This is all him saying.
Take care of yourself. I find it unbelievable for a person as strong as you are that if he was doing these things that were so irritating to you, there's the door. And what I have a problem with is that some people really are subject in their workplace, in a domestic situation, abusive people. And when you try to use it to get money from, well, that's what you're here for. That's what you're suing him for. $6,000.
Right
$6,000. $6,000.
I could have.
Just a second. Just a second. Don't tell me you had nowhere to go. You've had some place to go for 38 years. For 38 years, you've managed to find a place to go and find. Don't speak back to me. You've managed to find some place to go for 38 years. And without working, hustle to live. However that was, whether it's through relief or food stamps or disability payments or cosmetics on the side, you've managed to not work and live. Well, that's what you told me. That's what you told me. Don't look quizzically. You've managed to not work and to live. Somebody who may have had ulterior motives. 70 doesn't go into 38, sir. 38 goes into 70. But 70 doesn't go into 38. So I would stay within my ballpark if I were you. Do you understand? And it doesn't belie credulity, which means I can actually understand that a single guy, 70 years old, now has somebody who's relatively attractive that he's extended a hand to come and live with him. And he made an agreement with her. I don't even have to go into it, that she would take care of the apartment, she would clean up the apartment, she wouldn't have to pay you rent, she could use your car, all of that stuff. And there is no question in my mind, in your head, that somewhere down the pike there was going to be a payday. Just a second. Maybe, maybe not. However, the plaintiff has 2 good feet, and she was out of your house, and she insisted on coming, as she calls it, home. I had to go home. And then when the police came, she insisted on staying home. How much time do you need to get out? Because he wanted her out. I need a week here because I have no place to go. Okay, your case is dismissed. Listen, sir, you made a mistake.
I made a mistake.
You made a mistake.
Yeah.
Your mistake just got dressed down in an international forum because there's no question in my mind that this lady who lives by her wits, if she didn't want to live someplace, she wouldn't live there. So your case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I am a very humble person. I don't hurt people. I'm a giver.
Well, she knew that the girl was lying, and I knew that she'd catch it right up front.
She's the judge, right? But the real judge is God. That's who I put my faith in.
You can't do anybody a favor. She had a fire.
And she may have seen me dressed up nice. I'm going to take care of myself, whether I am homeless or not.
She called me at 1 or 2 in the morning, had nowhere to stay, so I let her in.
I'm not going to come as a scrub. I'm not a scrub, so.
People have to be so careful on GoFundMe, and there's no fact check on the internet. There's no way to tell whether she really did lose her belongings and was homeless from a fire or not. People can write whatever they want on the internet. And it really rubbed me the wrong way because I thought I read in her sworn papers for today, she said, I was able to save most of my belongings because my unit did not burn to the ground. And you read the complete opposite on her GoFundMe page that she was using to solicit money from innocent people online. And that really rubs me the wrong way because you're going to swear to this here in court today, but there is no such sworn testimony for the internet.
We've seen a few cases like that, even people feigning illness. And it's actually just a testament of the good-hearted people that live in this country that will give a total stranger, based upon
a caption,
$10, $100. Just makes them feel better. But when you find somebody who abuses it, it really hurts everybody because people will look at these GoFundMe pages, some of which are legitimate, as potential scams.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a woman who lives by her wits, and he's an old...
He's suing videographer Garrett Manny for unfinished video services.
Court come to order. All rise.
Thank you. Have a seat.
Hello, Judge. Case 2089, Brooks versus Manley.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Brooks, you are a realtor.
Yes.
And you also decided to go into the business of buying houses, fixing them up, and flipping them.
That's correct, Your Honor.
When did you decide to do that?
I started my company in 2017.
Was that just a real estate company, or was that the company that bought houses and renovated them and sold them? Which one?
That was my company that I started for flipping houses.
Do you have a partner in that business?
No, it's just myself.
From 2017 until now, how many houses have you sold and flipped?
This would have been my third one.
The house that we're talking about now?
Yes.
And when did you purchase that house?
I purchased it in March of 2020.
How much did you pay for it?
$200,000.
This is what the case is about. For that house, just that house, you commissioned Mr. Maney?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
And you're a videographer.
Yes, Your Honor, photographer and videographer.
To video for the purposes of advertising the project from start to finish, what it looked like when you purchased it, and sort of ongoing throughout the process, taking video of what you did to change cosmetically the inside and or the outside of the house. And you had an agreed price with him, which you paid. How much was that?
$1,919.
And it is your claim that since Mr. Maney did not finish the project and did not take the end product of what the house looked like when it was finished, you acknowledge he did come at other times and took video of what the house looked like at the beginning and the middle. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
But didn't do the video of the end, that you want your entire $1,919 back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Whatever he says. Mr. Maney says that you were difficult, that it was impossible, the job was supposed to take 4 months, it took almost a year, he didn't sign on for that, which may be. But more important, is there a video? Do you have a video of what he took? Do you have a video of what you gave her?
I have in my Google Drive a ton of video of what I've taken, but at the end, I have evidence showing we had scheduled for me to come in and do that final video. Everything was on point. Then she tells me here, it's going to be completed.
Just a second.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to let you have an opportunity.
Okay, sorry, Your Honor.
To tell me what your defense is to this case, if you need one. I just want to see some video of what you took. Doesn't anybody have that here? I mean, if 3/4 of the project was completed with video, and the only thing, according to you, that he didn't do was the end, that's what you just told me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so did he give you the video that was done?
I got nothing, Your Honor.
Your Honor, she has had access to the Google Drive with all of the video components in there. I cannot complete the final edits to put everything together until she completed things on her part, which was never done. Which was spoken about from the beginning.
Completing things on her part meant completing the house.
Completing the house, talking points.
Okay, but video is completing the house.
That's part of it.
Part of it, and the other one is audio where she tells you what's been done.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm just thinking out loud. Why didn't you do that yourself?
Your Honor, I never had a video to be able to go and do my...
No, I'm saying, did you have access to what he had done up until that time? That's either a yes or a no. Did you have video capability of seeing what video he had shot?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have some evidence to show me that the plaintiff had access to the video that you had shot of 3/4 of the project being completed?
I believe I have something in here about uploading stuff into the Google Drive, which if she didn't have access to that Google Drive, then how did she upload the final walkthrough video that I do have evidence of that is not professional, that I was unable to complete due to her lack of commitment?
Just a second. You have Video of what?
There is video evidence of the final walkthrough that was done by somebody on a phone camera because she canceled on me last minute when we were supposed to do it.
Just a sec. Where did you get that evidence from?
She uploaded it into the Google Drive that had all of the videos, which she had access to, obviously,
so
if she put it in there.
So what you're saying is Miss Brooks added a video of a final walkthrough that was done by whom?
My son.
By her son. And she added that final walkthrough to the Google Drive, and therefore you were able to get it. And she tacked that on to the work that you did complete. Is that what you're telling me?
All of the rest of the videos are in the same Google Drive.
It's in the same Google Drive.
Which she had access to the entire.
Now I'd like to see the video.
Which is not professional quality.
What did you do with that, Miss Brooks?
Your Honor,
what did you do with it?
Nothing.
Rosa Brooks claims videographer Garrett Manny did not finish her home renovation video.
You didn't send it to him. There's no question you didn't send it to him.
He requested...
You did not send it to him.
No, I didn't personally. No, my son sent it to him.
How do I know that?
He requested it from my son because he asked me to, but I did not know how to forward it to him on the format that he was requiring. I also have tried to meet with Mr. Manny to have him upload or transfer all of the video that I videotaped of when he couldn't make it to his office so that he can upload it onto his computer so he can edit it. He never gave me an edited copy of
Just a second. Ms. Brooks, is what you're telling me you have never seen any video of the 3/4 of the job that you acknowledge that he did? Are you telling me you've never seen any of those videos?
Never seen any of those videos, Your Honor, only when he was recording it at the property.
Mr. Maney, you wanted to show me something.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, there is...
At the beginning, when we started.
A few things here.
First of all, you have on your Google Drive
yes, Your Honor.
all of the video that you took.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you currently have it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there any way that I can see any of it?
Absolutely. I also have another video that shows real estate videography work that I've done for other clients.
I'm not interested. I'm not interested in that.
You should also be able to see on the Google Drive who has access to it.
Oh.
I removed the access when this case came up because I didn't want, at this point, I don't trust the plaintiff. So I removed her access so that she couldn't go and delete the videos and try to claim that she never had access.
To them. Got it.
Let me see.
Give the phone to Sarah, please, Kevin.
There it is, flip videos. That's all the different files with all of the different videos. And there may be something that you can push in there to see when people had access at one point, because I had access for herself as well as her son. And she has prior uploaded videos into there herself.
There's more than 30 videos in here, and
those are just files.
I see the two little people on Google Drive, which usually indicates that it's shared with more than one person.
Is it currently shared with anybody other than the defendant? He said he took her off the shared access.
Rosa Brooks does have access to all of the videos.
She does.
Your Honor, can I explain why he set up that folder? Because I also took video myself to upload onto that. He showed me how to do that.
He told me that you also did, but he said that this file also includes the video footage that he took.
Yes, but it was never edited, so I can do voiceovers.
Just a second. I asked you a specific question, Ms. Brooks. I said, did you ever see any of the video that he took? Your answer was no.
No.
Correct?
Correct.
Well, the fact that you didn't look at it, I don't believe. I find no validity to why, if you had it and you were coming to court today and you were dissatisfied, why you wouldn't look at it. You had your son have access to it, and I don't know how old your son is, who took the end video. I'm going to look at some of it, but it's clear to me that Mr. Maney performed a substantial amount of work for you. clearly $1,900 worth of work. Clearly. So what happened at the end that caused you to have your son do an end look at what the place looked like? I don't know why, but Mr. Maney said that he has an email from you that I'm going to look at now. That would sort of be dispositive of what happened at the end run of this case. Well, Sarah, could you give me just one look at his?
Sure. So he has all of these different files for different sections of the home, driveway, fireplace, and if you click on them, these are all of the videos taken for flooring. And if you click on this, it's a video of them doing flooring, and you can see who has access to the clips. Her son,
Jeffrey
the plaintiff,
and Rosa.
and the owner is the defendant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
And there's probably over 50 videos in the file.
So that you and your son had access to these videos over an extended period of time. The fact that you didn't look at it, that's not my problem.
Your Honor, my son did that video late at the end, towards the end of the...
What I'm telling you is you had access to these videos.
Well,
at first
I did.
you told me you didn't have access, that you never saw them. Then they were available to you and your son to be able to look at them. You say you never looked at them. I actually find that unbelievable.
Your
Ms. Brooks,
Honor,
I find it unbelievable that you had them and you didn't look at them.
I didn't feel it was a need to look at them, Your Honor. I was anticipating going up to Mr. Manny's office, so once he edited, I could do the voiceovers on them.
Okay.
There was no real
Ms. Brooks,
purpose.
I don't believe that you didn't look at them, madam. This was a $200,000 investment that you made, and this was a project. The first time that your business had done it, I don't believe that you didn't look at them. How much did you sell the house?
That folder for me to
How much did you
put my videos into.
How much did you? You're trying to talk over me. That's
Your
not
Honor,
happening.
I'm not
You
doing-
sold the house in what month and year?
The house closed on January 2022.
And what did you sell it for?
$555,000.
So you made $350,000.
No, Your Honor, $270,000 went into the house renovation.
Just a second. You sold it for $350,000 more than you paid for it.
Your Honor, I use hard money, and there's lots of.
Just a second. I know you're arguing with me. You bought it for $200,000. You sold it for $550,000.
Yes.
My math is not great, but that's a difference of $350,000. That's all I said to you. I said you bought it for $200,000, you sold it, and the difference between the purchase price and the sale price was $350,000.
Accused videographer Garrett Manny of not completing her home renovation video.
Now, you sold it in January of 2022.
That's correct.
That's when it closed.
Yes.
When did it go into contract?
Early in the project, Your Honor. It was pretty much the third month after I purchased it. So I purchased it in March. It was under contract around July of 2020.
Well, there was a lot of back and forth and a little bit of cancellation on your part back in December. You needed a little wiggle room. Looks like Monday would be a better day. First it was Friday. So there was lots of back and forth on the endgame video.
Yes, Your Honor. He
also what?
He also canceled as well. He has to.
Well, that's all right, but
Yeah, back and forth. We both had cancellations. And
I understand that, but this was for the final piece, which is what you're complaining about. The final piece.
Your Honor, he was not responding to me at some point when I tried to contact him to get the opportunity to go to his office to give him the rest of the footage that he needed, that he requested, that he was difficult about because I wasn't able to forward it to him in the format that he needed it for.
Mm-hmm.
I offered to come up to his office so that he can, transfer from my phone.
I'm going to ask you a question, Ms. Brooks. I just want to see what I'm dealing with.
Yes.
How many files of video did he have?
Oh, I can't tell.
You told me 30?
There's at least 30.
I had tons of video myself in there that I uploaded that he taught me how to put into those folders. A lot of those videos are my videos that he didn't take.
I don't care. It was on the same thing that you could have looked at and told me that you didn't, which I don't believe. So I want you to understand that. He was involved. There are 30 files. I want you to tell me, how much do you think that on a time basis Mr. Maney is entitled to? You paid him $1,919. He did clearly countless of hours of videoing your project. At the end, it turned south, and the videos were available to you. I want you to give me a figure of what you think is fair. Fair
I don't have a figure that I think is fair because, first of all, he spent 10 minutes on each visit, first of all, to do his filming.
Where does he live?
Second, he lives like the next town over from me.
Just a second, so he has to get there.
Yeah.
I want you to think, Ms. Brooks, I want you to think of what you personally did to make a profit of $350,000.
Your Honor, I didn't profit that amount.
I'm telling you, that's the difference. You may have spent money in renovating the property, but that's the difference between what you purchased it for and what you sold it for, $350,000. So the sweat of your brow, your work ethic is worth something. So even if you made in those few short months $150,000, you didn't do the physical labor on the house. You had workmen do the physical labor on the house.
I did some of it, Your Honor.
Well, maybe, but you made a handsome profit. I want you to tell me what you think Mr. Maney's work was worth to you, because I'm telling you right now, I am viewing this case as if you and your son had access to 3/4 of the finished product. So I want you to tell me what you think his work is worth.
Your Honor, it's worthless to me that I didn't get the video.
Okay.
I had a website that I needed the video for once the job was completed.
Well, that's unfortunate. You should have had your son do it. Since you can't give me a figure, I'm dismissing your case. We're done. Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
First of all, I paid him for something that I never got anything for.
They had access to the files the whole time.
And as far as him saying he uploaded some videos,
The only reason I wasn't able to get the final video
yes, they were uploaded, but I never got a chance to really review them.
is because she canceled on me like 12 hours before we were supposed to do it.
I was not anticipating on reviewing anything that was not edited.
It was her lack of put together a commitment.
Not to pay for anything up front until the project is finished.
You just can't make everybody happy, but
Don't trust anybody.
this is the only client I've ever had that was not happy. That says something.
I love Google Drive. They leave a record. You can see who started the file, who shared the file, who has access to it, who had revoke access. So I could see as soon as I logged in, he was very organized. He had different areas of the house labeled, individual videos of flooring progress, all of those were owned by him, shared with the plaintiff to be able to view them. So I don't understand why people lie about things that are so easily to be fact-checked.
And did it make sense to you that if you had this project going and it was the first time that you were memorializing one of your flipped houses, although she had two before, that it was something that she was interested in?
I know for myself on Google Drive, you get emails when things get uploaded. I would have been checking the second that the video got uploaded.
It doesn't make sense that she didn't look at them.
No, not at all. There were some videos that she potentially did add to the Google Drive, so I did see some of those.
Well, that's so interesting, because in order to be able to do that, you have to know
access.
that. Right. Didn't make sense. Not only didn't it make sense, but she had an end video, and it was clearly from the emails back and forth. She would make a date and then say, you know, her buyers aren't exactly ready. She needs a little more wiggle room. Could you make it this? She made it. Anyway, I found it sort of unbusinesslike. Did not say. Somebody did work, clearly spent hours videotaping for her. So if you didn't get your final video, but 3/4 of it was finished and could easily be edited by anybody, to find the work he did worthless.
I feel like it was a little bit of buyer's remorse for the video, because she was intending to use this video to maybe attempt to sell it. And I presume it was to try and sell the home. Or her business as a flipper.
Her business as a flipper.
I feel like she found the buyer for the house and said, man, the video's not really worth anything to me anymore, and just didn't want to pay him.
She had paid him, she wanted it back.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Melissa Duran is suing her former property manager, Tracy Shaw, for wrongful eviction and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Case 2097, Duran versus Shaw.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Duran, the defendant is the property manager at a place where you used to live.
Yes.
And you are suing her for evicting you from that place. You want a whole bunch of money. You're suing her for $10,000 for your moving expenses, for assault, for emotional distress because you had to move. Ms. Shaw says that your behavior caused you to be evicted. You violated the rules, and that's why you were served notice of eviction. So first, let me know when you started living at the property that is managed by the defendant.
In 2018.
Did you have a lease?
Yes, I did.
Do you have a copy of that lease with you?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Okay, so this initial lease was August of 2019, and it terminated on July 31st, 2020. It provided for 3 people to live in the apartment. Okay, and was the lease renewed?
Nope.
Okay, and so then you became a month-to-month tenant?
Yes.
And that was in February of 2020.
They also increased the rent.
That's okay. They're allowed to do that. That's a business.
No, I know.
They're allowed to do that. When your lease was extended on a month-to-month basis after February of 2020, would you tell me if the same people lived in the apartment as were on the original lease?
No.
So more people moved in?
Yes.
Who?
That would be my sisters and my mother.
Sisters?
Yes.
2 sisters?
Yes.
And when did they move in?
Maybe about, maybe 2020, maybe? Couldn't really be positive.
So that would have been in violation of your original lease?
Yes.
And it was an apartment that you were renting? And the apartment complex has a pool?
Yes, it does.
And the incident around, circumstances surrounding this eviction that was served on you, that happened in what month and year?
It was in June of this year.
How long, Ms. Shaw, have you been the property manager?
Since the end of November of last year.
November of 2021?
Yes.
And in November of 2021, did you know that there were additional people living in the house?
Yes.
And didn't tell her that they had to vacate, that it was in violation of the terms of her underlying lease?
I had that morning, actually, when the confrontation happened.
No, I'm talking about, pay attention. My question was, did you register any complaint with the plaintiff about the additional people living there? Be very careful that you tell me the truth, because I know that you think you may know where I'm going, but you don't. Did you make any complaint to her November, December, January, February, March, April, or May? The answer is either yes or no about the other people living in the house.
No.
So I guess I'm going to start with you, because an incident occurred that resulted in her being evicted, that you're serving her with a notice of eviction.
Right.
Tell me when that took place, because I have to know what your reason was. That's a fair statement.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So in June 22, like I said, that morning I had served on
What
that
morning?
June 21st or something, I believe.
What kind of letter were you serving on her?
I just gave them, mine is, it's just a complaint notice, saying that.
Do you have a copy of that? Do you know what she's talking about?
Yes, I have a copy.
I'd like to see it.
There you go.
Okay, well, this is a letter that says you and your company were eating and drinking in the pool area. Even after I told them to stop, that it wasn't allowed, they did not stop. And there is absolutely no eating or drinking in the pool area. Okay, so that's the letter she served to you, and that was on June 21st.
That's the letter she
Now, who was eating and drinking in the pool?
That would be my sister.
That wasn't just your sister.
No, it was her and her friend.
No, just a second. Let's get it together. So your sister, who wasn't supposed to be there, but they sort of let that skate.
Oh, well,
who wasn't supposed to be there.
Okay.
Okay, so your sister and who else?
That would be my sister, her boyfriend, and 2 of her friends, or 3 of her friends, I think.
Had they ever been to the pool before?
My sister has, but not her friends.
So the person who wasn't supposed to be living with you, that's your sister,
yes,
invited her boyfriend and 3 other friends to the pool.
She called and asked if it was okay first.
She asked you?
Yes.
And you said fine?
Yes.
You didn't call the manager?
No.
Okay. And you are aware that there's no eating and drinking in the pool?
That's not what it says on my lease.
Is that what it says at the pool?
Nope.
Does it say anywhere in the house rules?
Nope.
Nope, it's not an answer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The answer is no.
No, ma'am, it is not.
No. Now, when you've been living there for a long time, do you use the pool?
Yes, I do.
Ever had any trouble in the time from November of last year? Ever had any complaint?
Nope.
Nope
No,
is not an
sorry,
answer.
sorry,
No
I'm
is
sorry.
the answer. No,
Yeah,
no
okay,
complaint.
no, sorry.
Okay. And did you discuss with your sister and her friends that there were any rules that she had to abide by?
No, I did not, because I was not home yet.
Stand up. First name is?
Aaliyah.
You were their boyfriend and 3 girlfriends. Any children?
No.
You know this lady?
Yes.
What happened when she came to tell you that there was no eating or drinking at the pool?
So we were standing.
Just what happened when she told you?
She came screaming at us, telling us that we needed to get the food out and that we needed to go.
Get the food out. What kind of food had you brought in?
It was just pizza and like a soda and water.
So it wasn't a piece of fruit. You were having a meal there, pizza
Yes.
and food. Had you ever seen your sister bring food into the pool area?
Snacks, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not talking about snacks. Did she ever bring food into the pool area?
No.
What prompted you to order food into the pool area?
It was a hot day and we were hungry and I'm not sure.
You asked your sister if it was okay if you and your friends came.
Yes.
Since you never saw anybody, because usually there are signs posted around a pool. I've lived in enough places to know, and the pool signs usually say no jumping in the pool, no food or drink around the pool, right?
Yes.
Most pools say that.
Yes.
Did this pool say that?
It just said, like you said, no jumping in the pool, no diving, to come into the pool, but it never said nothing about food, drinks, nothing like that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So now you please establish to me, Miss Shaw, that there was notice that there was no food and drink at the pool.
Their pool addendum.
May I see?
And then also no guest addendum.
Just a second.
It's all part of their...
Hold on. You're Melissa Duran.
Yes, I am.
And that's your signature?
Yes.
Yes. The pool is reserved exclusively for the use of residents of the building. That's what it says.
Okay.
That's what you signed. No diving in the pool area, no intoxicated persons. Okay. I just want you to show me here, first of all, the only thing that they are violating is that pool is reserved exclusively for the residents of the building. That's in here, but I don't see anything about food.
The new pool addendum wasn't part of their contract. So when we put out the new one, it was for more updated tenants, but we didn't serve them on the food, we served them on the guests.
Is what you're saying to me. The only thing that she signed is this, and there is no sign around the pool that says no eating or drinking.
There is a sign by the pool.
Do you have a copy of it?
I don't have a copy of it.
Former property manager Tracy Shaw owes for a wrongful eviction and an assault.
Okay, go ahead.
Because she had moved in prior to them changing the pool addendum, I posted the new pool addendum on all of the doors. And I have actually text messages of Melissa asking me, can we, the no floaties? And I said, well, of course,
may I?
For children and whatnot, but not big floaties. Okay. So she was acknowledging the pool addendum that I had.
That I'll see. Now, she's going to show me your text messages to her.
Yes.
So you received the revised pool rules.
Yes.
And did the new pool rules say anything about guests?
No, it did not.
So if it said nothing about guests, you originally said that the pool is specifically reserved for residents of the complex.
Yes.
And according to you, the new pool rules, do they talk about having floaties in the pool?
Yes, it did.
Did it talk about having guests at the pool?
Yeah, actually it did.
And what did it say?
There was no problem, just like on the original lease. It was
no.
fine to have guests in the pool.
No, that's not what this says. This says that the pool is reserved for residents of the building only.
Well, we were already told before that it was fine to have guests.
This is the contract that you signed.
Yes, I understand.
Okay. So this is the first one that you signed, this one.
Mm-hmm.
And absent anything else, this says no guests at the pool. This says residents only.
Okay.
You say that it was the new rules allow you to have guests, or were they silent?
There was nothing on there saying that you cannot have guests. It was mainly just saying that you cannot have floaties, you cannot jump or run into the pool.
Just a second. Did it say anything about food?
No.
Is there a new sign posted around the pool that talks about food?
No, it does
All
not.
I want to see is, Miss Shaw, something in the new rules that talks about food. And I'm getting very bored with this. Now, when Miss Shaw came over and told you you couldn't have food, you had to get rid of the food, about what time was that?
Probably like 5, 6, I'm not exactly too sure.
And when had this food and stuff arrived? Was it?
We brought it. We were coming in with the food. We walked in with the food. I'm pretty sure she's seen this.
So you and your group, 5 people, walked in with dinner to the pool area. And did the dinner include any alcoholic beverages like beer?
Nope.
What kind of drinks were there?
It was Pepsi. It was soda.
And what happened when Miss Shaw came over and told you you weren't allowed to have the food at the pool?
She came very aggressively.
She came aggressively and she said you're not allowed.
She stormed out and screamed, get the food out and you guys need to leave.
And so what did you do?
I told her, okay, I'd get the food out, and I made a call to my sister to come help me with the food. And as we were packaging,
where was your sister?
She was upstairs.
So when you came out with the food, you came out of the apartment?
No, we had just gotten there. We were coming from another pool area that wasn't
What other
open.
pool area?
My boyfriend's friend. We were going to swim at his pool, but it wasn't available because there was too many people there.
Were you at your boyfriend's house during the day?
No, I was at school, and they were all at work, so we all just met up after everything.
Okay, so you were asked by Miss Shaw to get the food out, and then you called your sister.
Yes, and I told her.
And then what happened?
And I told her if she could come get the food while we swam, or if not, that we were
Why
going to
didn't
leave.
you just get out?
Well, because I was trying to help, because we were splitting the check through the money, so we're splitting the pizza, who's getting what, and all of that. And before we even could leave, she stormed out again, screaming, saying, you guys are getting a notice, you guys are getting a notice, and running up the stairs to her, because she was coming out, and she was hey, what's going on? And then she was like, you guys are getting a notice. I'm tired of everybody not listening and coming to me with your problems. And then my sister was like, whoa, hey, relax. I'm coming to get the food. And then she threw the paper and my sister backed up
Okay,
she,
so what,
went
so the letter, she gave your sister the letter.
It was a notice.
She gave you the paper that said, this is a complaint. There are people in the pool who are eating, drinking, they don't belong here, they're not, whatever. She said, here's your notice.
Yes.
Okay, and that was on the 21st of June. Then what happened?
Well, after she threw the paper at me, she turned back around, still yelling, and she stomped down the stairs, and I'm trying to tell her, you didn't give me time to come and get the food. And she ran back in her apartment and slammed her door.
And she went back to her apartment, and you went where?
Back into my house.
Okay, you went back into your house. And what did you do when you went back into your house?
When I got back there, I texted her, telling her that I was sorry that they had food in the pool, and I did not know that because I did not know at the time.
Just a second. So, Ms. Duran, let's cut to the chase, so that you knew they weren't supposed to have food in the pool, only snacks.
Yeah, but I didn't know they bring it. The thing.
Just a second. That's not what I asked you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You knew that there was no food in the pool, only water and snacks.
Okay, yes.
So you knew that.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Now, if you know that, and you have given, I'm just telling you what the law is. Mm-hmm. If you know that there is a rule, and you don't convey that, that's your problem, okay?
Okay.
All right, so that's June 21st, when guests that you agreed to have in the pool, you didn't know that there was food there, you knew that there wasn't supposed to be food there, that knowledge is imparted to your guests. That's a legal assumption. I want to know what happened after June 21st. When were you served with a 3-day notice to quit?
I believe it was on the 24th.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. I have 3 of the same. They sent me 3 of them.
I just have to see one. Did the attorney, who you say you gave by a cash app, return any of the money? Okay, well, you served this 3-day notice to quit, Ms. Shaw, and in it, you're alleging threatens to commit a crime. So I assume that the person, it talks about a statement, threatens to commit a crime. I assume that the threat was directed to you. Yes. In any event, you were given a 3-day notice to quit, but actually you managed to get that extended to 30 days.
Yes.
And one of the things that you had to do was to hire an attorney.
Yes.
And when you hired an attorney, did you hire an attorney and pay a retainer?
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay. I'd like to see proof of what you paid the attorney.
I don't think I bring the one that pertained to the lawyer. What I do have is him finding out what the criminal act was.
No. You're a month-to-month tenant.
Yes.
Landlord has a right to give you a 30-day notice and say you have to quit the premises. You have no legal right to be there. My only question is you were not given 30 days notice. You were given a 3-day notice, and I'm not actually convinced that there was a basis to give you a 3-day notice.
The Duran has accused her former property manager, Tracy Shaw, of wrongfully evicting her. Tracy claims Melissa was violating apartment rules.
Now, if you got 30 days, and the reason you got 30 days is because you retained an attorney, I'm prepared to look to see how much you paid the attorney, because that's an expense that you have that you wouldn't have had but for the 3-day notice to quit. They're entitled to tell you to leave. I mean,
Yes.
you're there with too many people living in the apartment. They've already had a kerfuffle because you allowed your sister and her boyfriend and friends to come to the pool. They were told no food. They ignored them. But I don't think any of that rises to the level of grounds to give you a 3-day notice to quit. I think that if they want to tell you that you have to be out in 30 days, that's reasonable, but they didn't. They gave you a 3-day notice forcing you to hire an attorney. I'm prepared to give you the attorney's fees if you prove to me that you paid an attorney.
I do have proof of that, but I do not have it with me.
Okay. And how much did you pay him? That's an easy thing for me to verify.
I believe it was $1,200.
I want you to think about it carefully.
No, it was $1,200 because he had lowered it. He lowered it from $1,400 to $1,200.
And you paid him by check or cash?
I paid him in Cash App is the only way I could.
Did he go to court with you?
We haven't, this is the first court we have been to.
So how did he get you 30 days?
Because I got the 3-day notice and it kept saying I committed a criminal act.
Okay,
So that was the reason why I obtained the lawyer, so he can find out what the criminal act was.
And just by phone calls, he got them to extend it to 30 days. So
Yes.
you were never in, and you left after the 30 days.
I left before the 30. I left on August 1st.
Okay. And where did you go?
I had to move all the way to Atwater, California.
Is that where you live now?
Yes, it is.
And who lives with you?
My husband and my young son. That's it, just the 3 of us. We moved into a smaller, more expensive place.
Okay, and you left your sisters?
And my mother.
And your mother.
They are somewhere completely different.
Okay, what do you...
This is in their lease about disturbances and threats.
Listen, I've already made a determination that the 3-day notice should have been a 30-day notice to leave. I don't think that anything that I've heard today rises to the level of giving people who've been in the apartment as long as they had, especially over pizza, requires a 3-day notice. So the only question that I'm entertaining on behalf of the plaintiff and the only monetary award that I'm going to contemplate are attorney's fees. Did the attorney, who you say you gave by a Cash App, return any of the money since he never had to go to court for you?
No, he did not.
Just a second. If I called him right now, would he tell me that you paid him $1,200?
Yes, he would. Yes, he would. Though what I was going to tell you is that I did not have enough to pay him completely. I still owe him $250.
So you didn't pay him. So you paid him $950.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry.
What do you mean,
I
okay?
didn't- No, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't.
So you paid him $950?
Yes.
I'm awarding you $950, which are your attorney's fees, for the reason that, I'm speaking, for the reasons that I've stated, because they have an absolute right to give you a 30-day notice, tell you to leave, and there was a basis for it, actually. And you know, there was a basis for saying your guests, which is you, are not abiding by the rules. You're a month-to-month tenant. Right now, we do not intend to keep you as a tenant. We're giving you 30 days notice to find another place. I think that would have been absolutely a problem. Speaking would have been absolutely appropriate. I think a 3-day notice to quit was inappropriate given the level of infraction. So I'm awarding you the counsel fees because that's what it took to get you your 30 days. This case is over. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I'm disappointed in the decision.
Her actions of her aggression, throwing something in my face, that was a little bit excessive.
I don't feel that I got to say more of the story that continued to happen.
Her actions caused me to get evicted in 3 days.
They have bad character, and so I don't think that I owe them anything.
I mean, I didn't think anything like what come to this, you know.
I'm just glad they're gone.
I'm happy to be out because I just really wanted her to be held responsible for what she did.
So a trend I've seen a lot here is plaintiffs suing for wrongful eviction when they're a month-to-month tenant. And for what I've learned in landlord-tenant law in New York, I know it varies a lot from state to state, is the landlord only has to give you as much notice as your term, which if you're a month-to-month tenant would be 30 days. So people have to really understand the legalese of their contract and of their lease, because if you feel like you're being wrongfully evicted as a month-to-month tenant, that's a different standard than if you have a standard year-long written lease.
Well, that's sort of the reason. I didn't think that the one instance that was raised was sufficient to give them a 3-day emergency notice to quit. Might have been enough, that coupled by the fact that there were too many people living in the apartment, to give them a 30-day notice. That is, you're right, it's your property. But I didn't think it rose to the level of a 3-day notice to quit for threats.
I didn't either, so I agreed with your $950 judgment for the attorney's fees.
Would have been happier if she had some sort of a receipt or something from her Cash App, because she very quickly changed the $1,200 to $950.
She was honest.
I think the right.
Albert Lee is suing pilot instructor Ed Meyer for damage resulting from Ed moving his plane.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2145, Lee versus Meyer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lee, you are an amateur pilot?
Yes, I was yes.
And you owned your own plane?
I bought it to train in, yes.
When did you purchase the plane?
In, I believe, April of 2021.
Did you buy it new or used?
I bought it used.
What kind of plane is it?
It's a Cirrus SR-22, 2010 type Golf.
What did you pay for it?
I paid $420,000 for it, I believe.
Is there a mortgage on the...
Yes, there is.
How much?
It's $2,204 per month.
You paid $425,000 for the plane?
Yeah, I put a down payment on it. The outstanding balance is $347,000. The payment per month is $2,022.
I don't need the payment per month. I just wanted to know what you paid for it and how much you put into the plane.
Yes.
The defendant is a pilot, licensed pilot, and he was giving you some training on the plane.
Certified flight instructor, yes.
It is your claim that at some point, you'll tell me when, that the defendant was operating the plane by himself. You weren't there. And he was moving it from one part of the FBO to another part, and he hit a cone and caused substantial damage to the propeller and the engine. And while you had, your insurance did cover some of it, according to you, it did not cover all of the expenses, and you want Mr. Meyer to be responsible for that. So it's a simple question. Mr. Meyer, do you remember the date that you were operating the plane when Mr. Lee was not there?
Yes.
What date?
It was in April sometime.
April of 2022?
Correct.
Do you remember the date, Mr. Lee?
Yes.
What date?
It's April 22nd.
Would that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. And from what I read in the papers, Mr. Meyer had in fact taken you out, but then the weather got bad. You decided that you would make your way home and that he would get the plane home when the weather was better.
Correct.
And that was on or about April 22nd.
I flew home on a commercial flight the day before on April 21st.
And you stayed with the plane?
Yes.
Now, would you agree, Mr. Meyer, that if in fact you hit an object with the plane, it would be your responsibility?
Yes.
Because it would mean that there was some sort of negligence involved.
Right.
And then there would be the issue of damages. Mr. Lee, you were not present when this incident happened.
I was not.
Not present.
I was not present. I was able...
No, you were not present.
I was not present.
That's the answer. Was this witness present?
He was not present, but he was the one responsible for procuring the evidence on what happened and how the propeller was damaged.
Who does he work for?
He has his own flight school, and he also manages my airplane in terms of the maintenance and the upkeep.
Okay. Could you step up, please? Tell me your last name.
Last name is Williams.
Mr. Williams, were you charged with gathering the evidence to determine what happened to the plane on the 22nd of April?
Yes, I was.
And you're paid a monthly fee by the plaintiff to manage his plane.
That's correct.
Did you retain the defendant as an instructor, or did Mr. Lee?
That was both decided by Mr. Lee and Mr. Myers to fly for him.
But you
He's
did
an
not.
Independent contractor. At that.
You did not have anything to do with, as the manager of the plane, you didn't have anything to do with selecting Mr. Meyer.
I did select Mr. Meyer to fly with Albert.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. Because were you the one who introduced him
That's
to Mr. Meyer?
That's correct.
When, Mr. Lee, did you start to work with Mr. Meyer?
It was probably a prior flight where we flew to San Francisco for a business meeting I had. After that, I believe it was...
In what month?
Roughly about the same month.
In April?
Yeah, in
so
April.
you didn't
maybe.
know him for a long time?
No, not very long.
I'm going to get back to you in a minute, Mr. Williams. Prior to the defendant, had anybody else been an instructor for you?
Yes. Clinton was my primary instructor, but I flew with some other instructors as well.
But it wasn't until the month that this incident occurred that you had been connected with the defendant?
Correct.
Okay. Now, sir, how were you advised that the plane that you managed was in an accident?
I received a phone call from Ed saying that there was a problem.
From whom?
From Mr. Myers, that there was a problem with the aircraft after he taxied and did the run-up and returned the aircraft back to Signature in Las Vegas. We notified and contacted a
Did you ask, what you would usually ask is what happened?
Yeah, what happened?
Just a second, and what did he say to you?
He said that he was having instrument problems with the aircraft and he wasn't able to take off, so he returned the aircraft. At that point in time, I contacted a Cirrus Service Center. I had 2 technicians go out and look at the aircraft, see what was wrong. At the time, the technicians found that they...
Don't tell me what they found.
Okay.
You can't tell me what they found. It's hearsay.
They sent me pictures of the damage of the propeller.
May I see the photographs? Okay, so that's a fresh damage.
Correct.
Can I scroll this?
Yes, you may.
Or it's just one? Okay, so you have a picture of that. You have a picture of the cone that has a slice in it.
Correct, that's the object he hit. We also have a video showing the plane taxiing and hitting the cone at the
I'd like to see that as well.
Okay.
Okay, let's see what we got.
As you can see where the...
Just one second, Mr. Meyer, is that a fair and accurate representation of where the plane was before you moved it?
It should be on the last, on the far left side of that Learjet.
Okay. Oh. Mr. Meyer, do you see that you went over a cone?
It's interesting. I didn't even notice there was a cone.
You may not notice it, but you see it now.
Yes.
Okay.
Pilot instructor Ed Meyer is responsible for damage after Ed moved Albert's plane.
Okay.
In all of my years of flying, which is pretty significant, I was an airline pilot too, I've never, ever experienced that in my life.
Okay, but you see it now.
Yes.
It's not an on purpose. It's, you know, that's why they call them accidents. We don't mean for them to happen.
Right.
We don't mean for them to happen, but you do see that the plane did hit a cone.
Right.
Okay, and I have photographs of the cone that has a slice in it, and the same kind of slice from one of the propellers. Now, so that's conceded that Mr. Meyer did, in fact, hit the cone, which in all probability caused damage to the plane, caused damage to the propeller. Now, tell me about your insurance.
The insurance covered the propeller. They covered the teardown of the engine. When something strikes the propeller, they have to tear apart the engine, make sure the components...
Do you have those,
that
paperwork for me? I'd like to see it.
Okay, so here is the insurance-covered portion, and here is my covered portion that I had to come out of pocket to pick up the plane.
Okay.
And I can explain both invoices. And if you flip to the last page, that'll have the total. Insurance covered about 60-something thousand for the propeller and the engine teardown.
Okay. So the damaged propeller, Mr. Williams, causes you to have to take apart the engine, fix the engine if there was damage to the engine. Am I correct?
That's correct. The FAA requires anytime you strike an object with a propeller, the engine has to be inspected in the component parts. So they...
Component parts of the engine?
Yeah, with the damage, potential damage of the engine. Internal damage that could be caused by striking an object.
Okay. The insurance covered how much, sir? Mr. Lee?
It's, sorry, it's on the invoice 60, I think it was 63,000, 64,000. It's on the last page.
The last page shows
a deposit of
$63,000.
Yes, that's it.
The deposit was 40, balance due was 23. Did the insurance company pay the entire 63?
This entire
$63,000. This is what was submitted to them.
Yes.
Okay, now I'd like you to take a look at this, Mr. Meyer. No, I'm going to actually ask Mr. Williams to take a look at this document. These are the items, Mr. Williams, that Mr. Lee says were uncovered. I would like you to go through all those items and tell me which of those items relate to the engine and which do not.
Okay, is this the total?
Carefully, because I'm going to potentially ask you about each individual thing, because there looks to me like some things that bear no relation to an engine.
Okay, so most of the items that you see that are airworthiness on the airframe are the items that need to be inspected or replaced from the teardown. So your item 1, item 2, 3, 4, item 5, 6, 7, 8. These are all items that the repair shop goes through the engine and assesses whether it needs.
Well, tell me how the brakes would be impacted.
I don't think
would be impacted by hitting the.
Which invoice?
And I don't know, but how brakes would be impacted by hitting a nose cone.
Brake lining. I don't know what that is.
Okay. Yeah, some of these items, Your Honor, such as one of these items, the brake lines, as you pointed out, is probably not part of the.
Well, that's what I want you to go through, sir.
Okay.
Do you understand? I want you to take a marker, a pen, and circle, because I don't know a whole lot about
Okay.
airplanes, but I know a little bit about airplanes. I know what's routine maintenance and what has to be taken care of, because a plane either falls on its nose or falls on its tail, both of which I've experienced.
Well, this is a small invoice. This is not your. This is a 12.
Mr. Williams, don't ask him. I didn't ask you to have a conference with him.
Okay.
I asked you to look at that. You're the management company. I want you to strike those items that are not related to this accident and go through them very carefully, because.
Can I make a comment? Okay.
Nope.
To you directly.
Nope.
Okay.
Can I ask you something?
Can you ask me something?
Yeah. Well, they should tell you those cones are made of plastic.
I don't care. They're heavy cones. You hit the cone. And the plane flew perfectly fine before you hit the cone. It didn't run after you hit the cone. You don't have to be a genius to figure out the cone caused, your hitting of the cone caused damage to that plane. I mean, you're not talking about flying a 747. You're talking about a little this is a single prop plane.
Right.
Yeah. They like those planes you used to put together with rubber bands. I wouldn't put my behind in one of those planes for all the money in the world.
The only items I can see, Your Honor, are 2 items that may not be related to the accident, items 7 and 8.
Okay, may I have that back, please,
Sure.
sir? And you are familiar with planes, sir, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying is item
The circled item.
7 and 8.
Correct.
So we have.
There's a couple of invoices.
We have right and left main gear, but which is 143 plus 270 plus 66. What about item 9? Pitch, trim, jab, nut, loose. What is that?
Probably what they do during the inspection and the tear down, they go through the aircraft itself, make sure it's airworthy. So they probably caught another item or 2. You can probably put that on item that's wasn't part of the accident.
The big ticket items, adding up all of these items, Mr. Meyer, that probably have no relation to the accident which you caused.
Correct.
Still bring the total amount to more than this court's jurisdictional limit. Can you tell me, sir, why your insurance, Mr. Williams, let's go back to you. You manage this plane. Can you tell me why Mr. Lee's insurance didn't cover all the damage to the plane?
A lot of the prospective renters or instructors that everybody uses, or we used in this case, carry their own insurance for this type of incident. Their insurance covers basically downtime, loss of operation, or in this case.
You mean Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Would have his own. Do you have your own insurance?
No.
No.
Albert Lee is accusing pilot instructor Ed Meyer of hitting a cone and damaging his plane. Ed says Albert was already paid by his insurance company.
Okay. Mr. Williams, you were the one who recommended
That's
Mr.
correct,
Meyer.
we did.
Don't you do a check to find out if they have their own insurance before you recommend someone?
He had insurance, but it was lapsed.
Well, that he didn't have insurance. I get that all the time. If you have insurance that's lapsed, then you have no insurance.
Yeah. As a flight school, our instructors are required to carry the insurance.
Okay, but that
And then
didn't
we-
happen here.
That's correct.
So you're lucky that he's not suing you because you managed the plane for him. And you recommended him, Mr. Williams, you know. When you have a management company that manages your plane, they're supposed to make certain that if you have a certain kind of plane, that you have pilots certified to fly those kinds of planes. And if they give me a list of pilots and those pilots aren't certified to fly the kind of plane that I might have, then it's the fault of the management company.
In this case here, the plaintiff and the defendant were working together as far as their payment and the fees they were going to charge?
That's okay. They may have been working head to head. I mean, it was Mr. Meyer's fault, but I'm just telling you that Mr. Lee relies on your advice. What business are you in, Mr. Lee?
I do commercial real estate. I sell shopping centers and office buildings.
Okay. That's not his business. That's why he hires you. And if he hires you, he asks you for recommendations as to where to get the plane repaired, for an instructor. Now, the fact that he may pay him independently, he's relied on you for information. So I suggest, Mr. Williams, that you tighten up your ship a little bit. Mr. Meyer, you're responsible to the plaintiff for the damage that you caused his plane. Why did you let your insurance lapse?
It had lapsed. I just didn't even realize the fact that it had lapsed. I just realized the fact that when this came about, that's what happened.
Well, when was the last time you paid premiums?
Probably about a year before that.
Anything else you want to tell me, Mr. Meyer? You owe him $10,000. You caused the damage. You have to fix it. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
I understand her point, the fact that what she saw.
I thought she's very fair.
These cones are made out of plastic.
It's hard to believe. It sounds like a gunshot when he hit the cone and triggered several warnings. And for him to say he had no idea, it's a little bit hard to believe.
They don't have much weight to them.
With the loud bang after you hit it, it's quite obvious that you should have stopped and shut down and inspect the damage.
There normally is never a cone at the 12 o'clock position. They're at the left side and the right side.
They place cones all the way around the aircraft, and it's part of your responsibility as a pilot in command to do a walk around pre-flight, make sure there's no object in front of your aircraft.
When I taxied out halfway down, that's when I recognized there was an ICAS message that came on.
I finally got it back, and no more student pilots won't let any CFIs fly for a while.
You know what I thought about in this case, Sarah? That lay people have to look at something, lay people, and while I'm a judge and have certain expertise, I have no expertise in reading slips that show what's been done on a car or an airplane or a train or a boat.
But we have common sense.
But we have common sense. And your brakes are not part of an engine. You know, you have an engine job, and then you have a brake job, and you have a...
I saw where you were going.
different kind. And, you know, if you have an accident that impacts on the right driver's door, if you put in a new wheel casing in the left rear door, well, that has nothing to do with an accident.
Probably just an oversight. He did state that those two items were not part of, you know.
He did.
He did at the end, but it just feels a little uneasy when they try and slip those things in there, that just common sense doesn't ring true, that it comes from the science.
Yeah, you know, front, back, you know, the head of a horse, the tail of a horse, it doesn't fit in. And there's really no difference between not having insurance when you're driving a car and not having insurance as a flight instructor. Yeah, that's pretty serious.
I would think there would be a more rigorous check on that before you get behind an aircraft, the wheel of an aircraft.
Absolutely. You would think that there would be.
Yeah.
As flaw